Hey guys, a little bit of an update and some news. I'm going to be launching a podcast this week on Thursday at 6 p.m. on a different channel, and the link to the channel will be in the description of this video. The channel is called Damaged Goods Podcast, and it's all the reasons why I think I'm damaged goods and why society would consider me to be damaged goods. And yes, being child-free is one of them, because apparently being a woman who doesn't want kids and as a woman that has already been sterilized by choice makes you disposable in some people's eyes, which is, of course, not true. My insistent cousin who lives 2 blocks away asked us repeatedly to mind her kids for 3 days while she went on a planned weekend away with her husband. Despite saying no, sure enough, they dropped them off on Friday morning. Hey everyone, welcome back to Childfree for Life. Don't forget to subscribe to be a for-lifer. I don't know how many times they asked and we said no, must be half a dozen. And it involved emails from my cousin about how easy they were to look after, and they'd pack a weekend of food for them. We wouldn't just have to wash clothes as they'd have enough, just shower and feed and keep them entertained. Still no. So on Friday about 9 a.m, we wake up to a phone message from my cousin telling us sorry, they couldn't stay, but they dropped the kids off at the driveway and they'll be back on Sunday night to pick them up. That message was followed by a couple more unanswereds. I had the great pleasure of checking our porch cam, calling her back and going, yeah, just check the cams, they're still sitting out front. Dude, we're in Griffith and we'll be back until Sunday afternoon. You better go back. We'd been visiting other family in Griffith for about 2 days already. The conversation that followed involved a ridiculous request that we could head back early and be home that afternoon, organize for someone else to look after them, or maybe find a flight. Absurd. Poor kids had been there for more than an hour and a half by the time their bloody neglectful parents got back to them. Luckily, it wasn't a 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit day like the week before. I might not want kids, but damn, you just don't do that. Call the cops on them. They abandoned their kids at an empty house knowing that you wouldn't take them. I've been thinking about what I wish I'd say to her on the phone. Should have at least opened with, hey, we're not actually home all week, but I've just called the police to come look for the kids. Couldn't see them on the house cams. Honestly, as someone who used to work in child protection, their behavior was exceptionally dangerous. With my experience, I would have phoned the cops the moment you saw them there alone, because yeah, anything could have happened to them. So it's not about proving a point to the parents, but about keeping kids alive and flagging to the authorities when parents are neglectful. In this case, it's clear neglect. I don't understand how some parents will dump their kids on anyone, literally any chance they get. Sometimes even with complete strangers. It makes me wonder if they actually even care about their own children. Aren't they concerned they could get hurt? And dumping their children onto people who supposedly don't know a damn thing about caring for kids and don't know love until they have a kid, the constant hypocrisy and flip-flopping of their entitlement behavior is so ridiculous. And as per the story, outright dangerous. There is a recent case near me. 2 parents left their 11-year-old child at home alone for weeks with no one watching them and access to frozen foods. In a very rural area that has many dangerous people crossing through it. They've lost their minds. You may have heard about it. I'm pretty sure it made national news. Someone in one of the local Facebook groups said that grandma was right down the street. Like, I don't give a crap where grandma is. She clearly wasn't checking in with the child. I'm not totally sure who reported it. It may have been the school since the child hadn't been seen for weeks there either. I have no idea. I can't imagine leaving a child alone for weeks, not to mention it's an area that's even more rural and isolated than the one I live in. I'm a grown woman and won't even take a walk around here alone. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And then I saw another case out of Texas. A lady who was a teacher put her COVID-positive child in the trunk of her car and drove them to a testing center. People have completely lost their ability to reason. As someone who hears from my dad all the things people should have done or have done for us, I learned he wanted a break from parenting. They all want moments of peace. Or they have a long to-do list and want strangers and families to cross them off for them. Your aunt could have done this. Your mom's girlfriends could have offered to take you for a weekend. It doesn't matter that he knew his sister-in-law only saw us because our mother insisted. It doesn't matter that people he's angry at for not doing these things are people he didn't like. He wanted a break. In their exhaustion and entitlement, they lose their brains. Yeah, I get needing a break. It's just the parents who seem like they don't want to spend time with their kids at all and are constantly trying to pawn them off on anyone who will take them. I don't get it. Sometimes it's necessary. When I was 5, I was unceremoniously dumped by my poor cousin's boyfriend, whom we had just met a couple days before. Hardly saw or interacted with my parents for a few days because they had him looking after me. Thing is, it happened to be because of my grandmother, whom we had been visiting, had died, and the family was dealing with it and getting everything ready. In Ireland, funerals happen within a matter of days. In fact, Mom is at one right now for someone who died on the 5th of January. It's now the 9th. And the only reason the funeral didn't happen yesterday is that there was another one taking place then for someone in the parish who died the same day. But yeah, I ended up adoring my cousin's boyfriend and was devastated when they broke up. He was a Muslim from Morocco and they met in London, where she lived. He introduced me to the internet, bought me a science encyclopedia for that Christmas, and was a huge influence on my young self. You'd be surprised. A lady my mom babysat for sometimes once dropped her 6-year-old kid off at my parents' house without even asking my mom or any notice at all. My mom had been out of the country for several months due to a death in the family, so no one was home. I just happened to go home early that day and found the kid had been walking up and down the street for several hours. I should have called the police, but I was 16 and didn't know what to do. Oh, this is nothing new. I once had a couple who asked me to babysit for 2 to 3 hours. They actually left for a week to Vegas. I was 13. Lots of parents on our street vanished for days at a time too, sometimes leaving kids at each other's houses. One time I remember a dozen of us, between 4 to 12 years old, just dumped in one house together to figure it out on our own, while a bunch of single moms went on a casino adventure across the border. This was in the 90s. Yeah, fully upfront, told them no and that we have other plans. Now I'm getting texts saying that I didn't say that my plans involved going away, so how was she to know I wouldn't be there? I mean, I only told her no several times. I give no reasons. That crap opens up argumentation about whether my reasons are valid. Old queer woman self-defensiveness coming out there. She decides that they aren't valid anyways. She's getting angry and angrier at me and it's all her own doing. It's great. Next time, I'll definitely call the cops first. No, like the other commenters posted, don't wait for the next time. Call CPS ASAP and provide them with the cam footage and the text she sent you. She already claims it's your fault and this is the only way to get ahead of this. Otherwise, she'll try again, and the next time, even if you call the cops, she could claim it was just a misunderstanding, or blame you, or claim you agreed to watch them and got back on your word. Start the paper trail now instead, to protect yourself and the kids from them. Yup, and while the kids going into foster care might be somewhat traumatic initially, it's likely no more traumatic than what they're potentially dealing with at home. I mean, any parent that will drop off their kids at a home where the owners of said home have said no to caring for the kids repeatedly, if that's the sort of care that they're getting when people can see it, no doubt it's not that great at home either. A little bit of commentary at the end. Let me know if you guys like the idea of commentary at the end of videos. But I distinctly remember there have been multiple parents in my life, not my own, but parents that I've seen or like family members or spouses of family members who would literally just drop off their kids with random people, like the people that they barely know. They call them their friends, but they don't really know them that well. That to me is super weird. Not only is that dangerous, like even if they're not dangerous, it's just the fact that they would just leave them with people who are clearly unqualified to take care of their kids. And also, this is kind of unrelated, but I have this aunt who would just literally show up to family members' doors, like unannounced, with her kids. And she has multiple kids. She has like 4 kids. She doesn't do it as much anymore. She especially doesn't do it to my mom, because my mom was like, yeah, you might as well just not show up ever if you're going to do that again, because that's not cool. She's like, all right, gotcha. We'll let you know. You got to put your foot down, right? Set boundaries. It's important. But she will just drive literally across the country to visit me or my other family members and just like literally show up with her 4 kids saying, hey, what's up? Surprise. Like, no, we're not going to host you with such late notice. Like, let people know if you want to come. Like, I also think it's so strange that it's so normalized that parentification of young children, especially teenagers, especially young teenage girls, is so common and so normalized in society when it shouldn't even be a thing in the first place. Being a woman doesn't make you automatically a parent. And quote unquote, preparing someone for future parenthood is not only flawed in logic, but also it probably won't give you the answer you're hoping for, because if someone's parentified at an early age, they're less likely to want children or to be baby crazy in the future. For all the people who are so adamant about people having kids in the future, the best way to have kids, the best way to convince someone to have kids is to not tell them about how hard parenting is. That's why people who are child-free know more about how hard it is to be a parent than the people who are so ready and so eager. Not saying you can't be eager and know how hard it is, but it's likely that if you know how hard it is, how truly hard it is, that you are child-free.